Awesome, guys. Can everybody hear me? Please, like, if you have your camera on, at least wave if you can hear me. Sweet. So it looks like my speakers are working, so that's a good thing. So thanks, guys, for coming out today. We have a special treat. We are going to be talking to three big producing agents that have been in the business different amounts of time, have different teams, have different philosophies, and I learned a long time ago, 2005, probably when I first got in the business, that I can learn from other people who have done it and been there. And I can avoid a lot of potholes if I just listen to people who have been there and done that. So I was one of the ones. Oh, my wife is bringing me a juice too. This is always good on a live call. Um, so green juice, very healthy. So um, I went to I can't remember the guy's name. Anyway, I went to something in 2005, 2006, and I bought the whole kit and caboodle. Like I was buying the CDs, and he had the goal setting and the time management and all that fun stuff. So that's what we're doing here today. Hopefully, Tiffany Fykes, Emily Peckham, and Vicki Hertel, they're going to be our three guests. I'm going to introduce each one individually, let them speak a little bit about their real estate journey, and then we're going to go into some Q&A. I'll probably lead most of the questions, and then at the end, we'll also kind of open it up for you guys to ask some questions on your own about their business. So I wanted to start today, though, with a quick Bible verse. I think in everything that's going on in our world with the craziness around us, and it's an election year and COVID and all that stuff, something that just kind of came to my mind this morning was Psalm 118:24. And this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Um, Super important when things are kind of in chaos to remember that God has given us this day. He made the day. He's blessing us with this day, and we need to take advantage of it and rejoice and be glad in it. And we can't control Trump and Biden and what's going on. If you turn on the news, it's going to drag you down. I don't care if you watch Fox or the other ones or whatever. It's going to just drag you down. You can't do anything about it. So I would suggest to not watch too much of what's going on in the world, and just take care of your family, concentrate on what we can control, and do our best. So very, very good Bible verse for this morning. So the first thing I'm going to do is number one, thank you, Tiffany, Emily, Vicki. Thank you guys for coming out. We really appreciate you sharing with us. And all you guys that are here, thank you guys for showing up. And we're hopefully going to get some really good value today. So first I was going to introduce Tiffany. So Tiffany, year to date, just kind of give you guys some perspective on what they've done. They've helped 70 families year to date for about 24 million in volume. She does have a team. I'm not exactly sure how many people are on her team at the moment, but she's growing her team, and she's really good at the team building type thing. She's passionate about building and helping team members build wealth. So she's helped one team member become a millionaire, which she shared that with me. And I was like, wow, that's amazing to be able to help somebody do that. And you can do that in this business. That's the beauty of what this business offers, with the ability to earn an income. And, I want to touch on real quick before I hand it over to Tiffany and let her talk about her journey. There's two keys to building $1 million net worth. Number one, you have to save it. And number two, you have to invest it, right? So in our business, we're not promised another paycheck next month or next year or next, whenever the recession happens or whatever might happen. So we need to be saving our money, being smart with our money. And you can't just save it, because what happens when you put your money into your savings account? You see it, and that car and that boat and that next thing looks really cool. And if you don't invest that money into real estate or invest that money into something that's going to grow, it's a little bit harder to just pull it out and go buy a car. That's the key, is save and then invest. So Tiffany, I think it's really cool that you have helped one of your team members become a millionaire, has a goal to help 6 more people become millionaires, which is really cool. So Tiffany, can you just share with us a little bit about your real estate journey and where you've been?
Sure. I got into real estate in 2009, and if everyone was alive in 2009, you know that was the beginning of the end, or the middle of the end, depending on how you look at it. I actually got into real estate thinking I wasn't going to sell a thing in 2009. I was just going to learn, because I don't like to do things poorly. So I thought, I'll get in, I'll learn things, and then when the economy recovers, then I can sell houses. And the reality is, I didn't have any bad habits. I didn't know that people would just say whatever to get a sign in the yard, and I was telling people the truth. And actually selling houses because of that. And I got my license in May of 2009. I had my first closing in June, and I never had a month after that I did not have a closing. Very quickly got to 2 a month in 2009, and then started building my family in 2010. And with that and growing business, knew I needed to grow a team as well. And so have been on that journey for the last, whatever, I guess it's 10 years now, of growing a family and a business. And so I've got 2 boys now who are 8 and 10. And I've got now 12 people on our team. Last year we had 4 people on our team. This year we have 12 because we got really focused on that piece of our business growing. And yeah, we sold 20 houses last month, and we'll keep putting up numbers like that with the people we have on our team.
Awesome. So Tiffany, you got a great business, been doing it for 11 years. And yes, I remember anybody else that was in the business, and I got an 04. So I was in the wild, wild west. They made a movie about when we started The Big Short.
Yeah.
Everything crashed in 08, 09. And yeah, but it's been a pretty good ride since. I mean, about 10, 11, it kind of started coming back up. And, we've been in a really good real estate market since. So, so Vicki, I'm going to have you up next. You have done, let's see, I've got your units here today. You had 20 units for 8.5 million or 8.8 million in volume. And you don't have the big team. You have, I think, a contract to close. So you've kind of been doing it solo on your own. And can you just kind of tell us a little bit about your real estate journey?
Okay, so we moved here to Nashville in 2010, and I started out doing, 2010. Started out doing admin kind of stuff for just a little bit. It was a big adjustment for my family, and I had been a stay-at-home mom, which my goal was taking care of my babies. I'd done a few other, lots of extra things, but as far as work, my husband and I had a general contracting business where we built custom homes for several years. So my ultimate goal was always kind of to do real estate at some point when I was at a different season of life. So I started out admin side just to get my feet wet here in a new home. And so I got my license actually in 2014, January 2014. So I've been, I'm in my 6th year officially licensed. I did lots of real estate activity prior to that being licensed in our area. So either way.
Awesome.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So 2010 doing admin, got licensed in 2014. So been doing real estate basically for about 6 years and on track to do 12 million ish.
Oh, this year? No, I've already got on the books almost 17.
Got 17 on the books. So done 8.5, but you got a whole bunch ready to close soon. So
I don't know about. So yeah.
Right, and more stuff that you don't even know about. That's right. So awesome, Vicki, running a great business. And did you have do you have contract to close
I do.
that helps you?
I do, yeah, and that makes a massive difference. It's just
Cool.
It's too much. But I don't have other people. Like it's literally just me.
Just you selling all that.
I've thought about the team thing. That's just not where my heart is right now.
And I think that's that's one thing that I wanted, because I knew that Vicki, doesn't want the team, and Tiffany has a big team.
Mm-hmm.
And, somebody that's on the call, let's say Sean, he wants to have a big team. He can maybe learn a little bit more from Tiffany. And then if Troy wants to be more a solo agent, he can learn more from Vicki and maybe what Emily has to say. So I think that's why we wanted this. You can be successful in real estate either way you want to do it. And that's the beauty of it. You can go start your own real estate brokerage and be successful. You can run a single person team with no contract to close. I don't suggest doing that because that can cut into the personal life. But I think Vicki learned that the hard way with trying to do it like that for a little while. But so next up, we got Emily. Vicki, thank you so much. You got a great business, and we're going to learn a lot from you today too. Emily, you're kind of, I want to say a rookie. You're not a rookie anymore, but you've been doing it like 2.5 years. So licensed in 17 or 18. When did you get your license?
In August of 2018.
Okay, so August of 2018. So just 2 years, like literally 2-year anniversary. The last 12 months, I think my stats show 59 units in the last 12 months.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So I don't know a whole lot. She works more with my brother, Clint. And so you can just kind of fill everybody in on your journey and what you're doing in real estate.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I had just graduated college in May of 2018. Got married in June of 2018, and my husband had been here So I moved to Nashville right after we got married and got my real estate license in August of 2018, and just started cold calling for sale by owners, cold calling, door knocking, really just anything that I could think of to generate business. So in 2019, my first year of real estate, I sold 32 homes. And
Wow.
and then in 2020 so far, or in 2020, excuse me, in 2019, I sold 30 homes. And now this year, I'll probably close out somewhere between 80 and 90. It's a lot of for sale by owners. And now starting to see a lot of the sphere-based and referral-based business come as well.
Awesome. 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 So what I heard there was when you're new, and Tiffany kind of mentioned it, and I know Vicki had to go through it too. When you're new, you just do whatever you got to do. Do you guys agree with that? So I started in 2004, and I had a for sale by owner campaign that I was doing for the first year, where I was going out and calling on for sale by owners to help them with the mortgages and try to help them with whatever I could help them with, and then try to get them to realtors and stuff like that. So that's awesome, and I think activity is something we're going to talk about, and that hunger. And Emily, that's amazing that you're going to do 80 homes basically in your second full year. It's amazing. So can you touch on a little bit of what your team looks like, or do you have a contract to close, or what does that look like for
Yeah,
you?
I realized I needed to hire a contract to close when I would have checks sitting in my mailbox that I was not allowed to get until my loop was in order. All my paperwork was in compliance with the office. And that's when I realized, okay, it's probably time that I hand this off to someone else. So that was probably about a year and a half ago, pretty quickly in. I'm not organized and I'm not good with paperwork or systems or anything like that. So I have an amazing TC, Shanna Kozinski. She's with Your Realty Helper. And then I just hired an admin 2 weeks ago. I should have done it a long time ago, but she's coming in to help me get organized and put some of those systems in place.
Good for you. Awesome. Yes. So if you get too much business, it can be a nightmare a little bit trying to if you don't have some help, because naturally salespeople are not that organized.
Mm-hmm.
And I can raise both of my hands. I have lots of great people that help me continue to be organized. Yeah, Vicki raising her hand. So, but that's a natural thing. If you're a natural salesperson, you're naturally drawn to talk to people and want to help people. Filling out every check mark on a box is not normally our thing. So I'm going to ask a few questions next, guys. And if you guys that are on the call want to write down your questions, or even you can put them in the chat box on the right, we'll probably wait to the end to kind of get to those. But the first one is, and I'll start with Tiffany, and now everybody can answer, and I'll probably ask different questions to different members of our panel here. But because you have the biggest team, Tiffany, how has COVID affected the market in your opinion, as well as how has it affected the market, your business, and then how have you had to change because of COVID?
I mean, it hasn't affected the market that I have seen in any way, shape, or form. The only thing that it's done is it's tightened inventory even more, because if you are not a motivated seller, you are not putting your house on the market right now. And so it's only the truly motivated that are putting their home on the market, or at least it was. I'm starting to see what's happened because supply and demand, supply went down, demand stayed the same, which means prices have risen. So now we're seeing people trying to get certain prices for their home, maybe less motivated, but hey, if I can get $700,000 for my house, I'll move. Like, those are coming on the market a lot more. But when I think of what has our team had to do, what I love about COVID is COVID's given us the opportunity to try the things that we'd wanted to try for years. Like, everybody is making it up right now. And I think we're sort of starting to get into a groove, but 6 months ago, it was basically the whole world saying, no one really knows how to do this. Everybody try your best ideas. And so we were able to try all these things. Like, I wanted to do Zoom listing appointments and Zoom buyer appointments for 2 years, but the world didn't know how to use Zoom well enough for me to work. And now, hello, we all know how to use Zoom now. And so we can be a lot more efficient and effective with our time. And that to me is the best part of what has changed with COVID is we're able to adapt and be more efficient because we have to be. Like the world is requiring us to be more efficient. And people also understand that it's humanized everyone as well, because now we're looking into our offices and our homes and our living rooms, and like your kids are running behind you, and that's like okay now. We don't have to pretend like we're not whole people. We are, everybody sees everything now, and so there's more grace, I find, given for everybody around what they have to do to get their work done.
Yeah, very good. That's a great insight. Emily, what is your take? How has it affected the market in your opinion, and your business? What changes have you seen?
Yeah, so like Tiffany said, I mean, the market has not stopped. People are still buying and selling houses. In fact, my business during COVID has just skyrocketed. I think what she said is so true as well. It's a supply and demand issue. And for my buyers, like inventory has been so low that I was having to go find off-market properties, call through neighborhoods, and just to even have them get a shot against or a shot at finding a house. So I've had to get really creative and send mailers through neighborhoods to find properties for my buyers. So supply and demand has definitely been an issue. And now I'm definitely seeing people that are like, oh, well, the market's been so hot and interest rates are so low, so I'm just going to price my home here, like $50,000 over what it should be listed at. So I've had to really get intentional about making sure that I'm practicing my scripts and learning how to tell that seller that their home is overpriced, and making sure that we understand that just because the market is hot doesn't mean that you can price your home artificially high.
Yeah.
And I sell houses as far south as Mount Pleasant and as far north as Clarksville. So it's been really, really nice to have an excuse, like Tiffany said, to do a Zoom meeting and not have to drive an hour and a half to Clarksville to go on a listing appointment. What would have normally taken me 4 hours is now only taking me 30 minutes to an hour. So I've got a lot more time to generate business and to get more business.
Awesome. So you've both of you guys so far have taken advantage of the market. It's been a good thing. Vicki, what is your take on COVID and how it's changed your world?
I mean, honestly, if I didn't know what was going on, I kind of wouldn't know what was going on. Just where I've been. It's been the same. I've been very busy this year. Has been just as busy as I am any other time. I don't feel like there's a big difference. I've had a couple of clients that have been a little nervous, but other than that, we've been super busy, and I just haven't noticed a big difference. I think those are great insights though that y'all have.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm the person that just learned Zoom today.
And so I'm sorry, Vicki, it cut out on me there.
Just learned Zoom today, but anyway.
Nice.
I'm on my own little island over here, and that's okay. I'm different.
Hey, and I feel like with everything going on, that's almost the way to be. Kind of just block it all out, zone in on what you can control, and very good. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to start with, let's say, Emily, you've been in it for 2 years. What would you say is the number one thing that a realtor must do to be successful?
Lead generate.
Lead generate. I love that.
For me, that was cold calling. That doesn't mean cold calling. It just means getting on the phone or social media or whatever it is that you choose to do, and be consistent in doing that. So for me, that looks like I'm on the phone for 3 hours every single morning between 8 and 11. And like I said, for me, it's been for sale by owners. It's been circle prospecting, which is anytime I take a listing, I'll call through the neighborhood and see if I can generate another listing or another buyer from that listing. But it's also—
So let me back up real quick and make a point here. Did everybody hear what she said? 3 hours a day, 1 day a week, 1 day a month, a couple times a year.
5 days.
I think she said 5 days a week.
And she's still going to have time to sell 90 houses too.
Yes.
You can do
Wow.
both.
Yes.
That's awesome. And Tiffany and Emily are both Keller Williams, and I know that's a Keller Williams model, and I know other people teach it too. But guys, that's how you sell 90 houses in your second full year is spend that time lead generating. So that's an excellent, excellent insight. Because without leads, what are you going to sell? What are you going to do? If you're
Mhm.
waiting for the phone to ring, or you've got that cool website, the cool website can drive you some leads, right? But it ain't driving you 90 closings unless you're spending, you know, 50,000 a month on advertising somehow or something crazy.
And it doesn't
Um,
have to be cold calling. I think some people confuse lead generating with cold calling. Um, it can be just calling your friends, calling your past clients that you've already done business with, and having a forward conversation, which stands for asking them about their family, asking them about O is occupation, R is recreation, and D is their dreams. And at Keller Williams, they say it's a forward sandwich. So it's asking them about those things. And then also in the middle of that conversation, asking them who else they know that's looking to sell a house. So it's just checking in with your people, especially during COVID, just picking up the phone and making sure that your past clients or your sphere of influence is taken care of. Like I had a lot of clients that lost jobs, that were out of work. It was, even though I know a lot of us have said that business has stayed the same, that doesn't mean that people's lives were not changed or affected. So sometimes the script, it's not even a script, it's just picking up the phone and saying, hey, how are you doing? How can I help you? How can I pray for you? And just being really intentional and letting people know that you care. And if you do that, that can still be lead generating, and you're going to build those relationships, and they're going to send you, people are going to send you referrals.
yeah, that's really awesome. How many people other than Emily, and I can't raise my hand either, lead generate outbound calls 3 hours a day? I mean, that's very difficult to do. Tiffany, I know your team, they have set blocks, and I don't know if it's every day, but they have set blocks that they lead generate. So excellent point, Emily, for lead generation. Um, Tiffany and Vicki, anything else that you guys would add to that? Of course, lead generation is a big, big one. What else would you guys put in there that an agent has to do to become successful?
I think just generally picking up the phone, like being willing to pick up the phone, and whether it's lead generation, that's one piece, but calling other agents too. Like right now, how you're going to get a deal is picking up the phone and having a conversation with that listing agent, because you're going to be competing with 7 other people. And so to write the best offer and to be the agent that they want to work with, you need to pick up the phone and be having conversations. And
Nice.
it stands out right now to pick up the phone. I mean, we put 2 houses under contract this weekend, well over asking price, got so many offers that I only had 2 agents call me before doing it. And that's who wins, because at the end of the day, I can tell them, hey, this is what they want to see. This is the date they want to close. I would say the second thing is asking good questions. Your ability to ask clients good questions, other agents good questions. We should be master question askers.
Yeah. So, and just to share real quick, so you guys were all in a waiting room, and we were talking before the call started. And I think there was almost like a couple of deals that happened between Emily, Vicki, and Tiffany. They were like, hey, I've got this thing coming up in Creve Hall. And they're like, hey, I may have a buyer for that. And, I'm looking for this under 250. And, agents can work together, because you guys, if you have a good network of agents, that's a great way to find stuff before it hits the market. It's like, hey, I've got a seller that I think is going to list next week in Creve Hall at this price point. And somebody on this call might be like, I have a buyer that's been looking in Creve Hall for 3 months and we can't find it. Please let me go preview that beforehand. So excellent point to pick up the phone, have that network of agents as well. Anything you would add, Vicki, to what they've said for an agent to be successful?
Well, I mean, my go-to answer would just be genuinely love people and care about them. I mean, that's where I come from, it's just genuinely putting them before me and
Yeah.
doing what's best for them. I mean, that's really what
Yeah.
I love. I'm like all the business answers, all those are there, and I do all that, but in my heart of hearts, and that's why I haven't built a team. That's why and I'm in a different season of life now. I'm 53, I'm very old, and that's okay. But I just, at this point, I'm very driven and I do my best at everything that I do. But part of my best is my children and my grandbaby, and so that's very important for me, and just finding a good balance with that. But for my business, as far as lead generation, it 100% for me is just loving people.
Yeah. Taking great care of people, and they're going to come back to you. They're going to be much more likely to send you friends, family, stuff like that. We're all competing on our end. We're competing with the internet lenders and the Quicken Loans. You guys are competing with the iBuyers and these, faceless corporations that are advertising and spending a lot of money. But that faceless corporation and Quicken Loans will never have a relationship with somebody that you go to church with and somebody that you took good care of 3 years ago. And they can never win that business, in my opinion, if you take good care of them and you love on them. So really good points, guys. All right, so Vicki, I'm gonna start back with you. So you got to go last time, so you're gonna get to go first this time. What is something that you know right now that you wish you had known when you got your license? What's something you've learned? Like, man, if I had just known this, I could have bypassed a bunch of potholes and hurdles that I had to trip over.
Well, I mean, my good answer to that is kind of the same as my other one, is how much I care, and to be able to separate that, because I've had a lot of sleepless nights and gut wrenching things that, because I care so much, so being able to separate that out a little bit and not think as emotionally as I tend to do. They're not all my children.
Right.
But I want to take care of them as if they were. So I think for me, it's just knowing that, okay, this was not the end all house in the whole wide world. And it's okay if something happens and they have to move on to a different one. I've learned how to look back, in the first, when that first happens and they lose the house, that you think, oh, that was the one, you're devastated like they are. So for me, it's for me to be able to say, look, I've done this long enough and I've been through this enough that wasn't the right house and we're going to find it, and just to have the confidence of comforting them.
And probably being that you've done it long enough, have you noticed that things tend to work out anyway? It's never the end of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
One will come up that we didn't know was there. I'm just able to give them a little more life experience. And I was able to initially give lots of my personal life experience, but now give that from a realtor perspective. So that's the first thing there are other things, but that's the first one that pops in my head. So.
Gotcha. Very good. Emily, what about you? What is something that you've learned in your 2 years that, man, if I had known this day one, I would have done this differently?
Yeah. I think I've always been really driven to keep going, keep producing, and set records and do all this stuff. And I think that looking back, I wish that I probably would have slowed down a little bit more to be able to not only just put some of those systems in place, but to give my clients a better experience. I love on people too. Relationships, I tell people all the time, like, I'm not in the real estate business, I'm in the relationship business. And I love all of my clients, but at the same time, at having closed 60 houses so far this year, and my admin just came on board 2 weeks ago, I think all of them would say they had a good experience with me. Some of them might have said they had a fantastic or an amazing experience with me, but there's definitely a handful that as I look back and I reflect on the year, I'm like, man, if I would have slowed down a little bit, I could have given them a better experience. So I think I would have hired a long time ago and gotten that leverage in place a while ago so that I could give a better service to my clients.
Okay, so hiring earlier a team member would be your big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Tiffany, what about you? You've been doing it 11 years and got a lot going on. So what would you go tell yourself in 2009? That word of wisdom.
I think I wish I'd spent more time focused on what I'm really good at. Like, get real with myself and about what part of this am I really good at and what part am I not good at. And it's not lead generation. Like, you want to say, well, I don't enjoy that, so I'm not good at that, but that's not an option. But from the rest of the business, what am I really good at? And then I would have set my business up differently to make sure that I'm staying in my strength zone. Because I was really good about hiring people to operate in theirs, but I didn't take my own into consideration early enough. And so what am I really good at, and how do I want to build my business accordingly?
Yeah. So what would you say is your number one strength? What are you really good at?
I am really good at helping people, like on the strength finders, if anybody's done that, activator and communication are my top two strengths, which means I can help people understand things that they've never understood before and get into action. And so in real estate, that makes me a really great person at a meeting that, I can help cut through the noise. If you're concerned about, should I move, should I add on, I'll come in, and I also have high integrity, so I will tell you which one, and staying in your house is often the option we pick. But I can help people see through things that are very complicated to them or feel very complex. And so that makes me really good in meetings. It makes me really good in instruction and in teaching and in motivating other people to see what they need to do and go out and do it. And so I would focus more on that, which is what I'm focused on now. But it took me 10 years to focus on that. And I did all the other stuff because you're just supposed to do the other stuff for a long time.
Perfect. That's awesome. So Strength Finder, I think is what you said, Strength Finder 2.0. That's a book. You can buy the book, read the book, and then there's also the exercises or the test, I think, that you take that tells you what you're good at. And as you do this stuff, you also kind of realize what you're good at over time, right? Yeah, so very, very good points. Tiffany, what would you say the best advice is that you've ever gotten in the business?
Probably the best advice I've gotten was that your business is a rubber ball. And in the juggling of life, it's rubber and it will bounce back. And things like your family is a glass ball that will shatter if dropped. And so this is a business that is literally 24/7. I tell people all the time, like, the deadline on our contracts is 11:59, which means we have 1 minute off if we let ourselves live at this pace that real estate could require of us. And so, that is the best advice that I got because of who I am. I had no problem lead generating. I knew how to do that. I did all the things that you're supposed to do. But what I had trouble doing was turn my phone off and be present at home and be a full person, like I talked about earlier. So that in the juggling of life, your business is a rubber ball. You can drop it and it will bounce back. But your family is not.
I think that's excellent. I also heard that. I don't know who originated that that piece of advice or that writing. I heard that several years ago, and same thing. They were saying there's several balls you're juggling, right? You got family, your health, spiritual, personal, that kind of stuff, and business and money are the two that can bounce back. You see it all the time. So and so went broke 3 times, and now he's a billionaire, right? Or whatever. And so I think that's super important because if you focus on business, and you can 24/7. Like, and I went through that in my business 3-4 years ago where, team wasn't where I needed it to be. I was working till 7. I felt like 8 o'clock every night, missing dinner, and it just wasn't what I wanted. And I knew that's not what I wanted. So I made some big changes in my business, and now I'm able to be there. I've been going to my kids' football and baseball practices every night. And I know that 10, 20, 30 years from now is way more important than, man, I got so many closings in August of 2020. I'll never remember that number unless I keep it, and which I don't. You can't tell me, Tiffany, you might be able to go back and look, but you can't tell me what you closed in September 2016.
No.
Because it doesn't really matter, right? So that's an excellent point. And remember that your family, I've always heard it's a glass ball that if you drop it, you're definitely going to scratch it, and it's going to have that scratch that you got to deal with, or it could shatter. And once it's there, and I'll tell you, one of my mentors told me one time, we were on a coaching call, and he was telling me, one of the guys, like, I'm working 60, 70 hours a week, man, but I'm killing it. I'm making good money. And the guy was like, is your wife okay with it? And he's like, yeah, she's okay with it. She gets it. She knows what we're doing. And he said, your wife will be okay with it until she's not. And once that happens, the ball is dropped, and then you got to deal with it. So don't deal with it once she's not okay with it. Deal with it today while she's okay with it, and get that back to where you're focused more on the family. And that guy had been through the divorce, and he was giving words of wisdom like, hey, your wife is going to be cool with it, your husband's going to be cool with it, whatever it is, until they're not, and then could be too late. So excellent point. Vicki, what about you? What is the best advice you've ever gotten in business or personal? Because Tiffany's was kind of both.
I feel like all of my answers are the same. It's just to care about, I mean, seriously, it's just to care about people. If I have somebody my age, what I say to them is, look, if you were my flesh and blood sister, this is how I would advise you. This is how I would take care of you. If it's my mama's age, then if you were my mama, if you were my flesh and blood mama, this is what I would do. And same thing with my kids. So, it's just to genuinely not be about me. I mean, and this, Chris, Rich will say, hey, what's the commission on that? Or how many? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't even know my numbers. So you said, what are your numbers? I don't know what my numbers are. I don't care what my numbers are. I love people and I know all their names and all their kids and what color, I know all that stuff. That's just not my focus. Now there's a portion of me that could be uber business. And if I was 20 years younger, I would be driven differently. I'm just driven differently at this season of my life than I would be. I'm not looking to build a big empire. I'm just looking to take care of people and love them. And the Lord's blessing that, for me to be able to have a decent business at this season of life. So my best advice would be genuinely care. And if you don't genuinely care about people, if you're just kind of not really a people person, this is not the line of work for you. Because it's a lot, we counsel them and there's a lot beyond, hey, do y'all want that fridge? Or, what do you think? There's a whole lot more to what we do than just physically get that house under contract and close on that deal. There's a lot. There should be more.
And I've noticed a theme. I think all of you guys have talked about it. I know Tiffany was saying, helping people make the right decision for them. Like, hey, I'm here to sell a house. I'm here to list a house and help you buy another house. But you know what? In your situation with what you've got going on and the job and the money, whatever it is, the best thing for you right now is to stay here. And when you tell somebody that and they know that you're not making a commission because you're giving them the right advice,
right?
They trust you, and they should. You've earned it. And in our business, we do that all the time where people come, people want to refinance right now because the rates are low. We're helping a lot of people refinance. But sometimes people are like, hey man, I want to refinance, take advantage of these low rates. But I'm probably going to sell my house in a year. 2021, I'm selling my house. Quicken Loans is going to take that loan and close it. Absolutely, let's do it. Why? You just put closing costs on your house. You might have broken even. You might have lost money depending on when you actually want to sell it. As an honest person, you have to go through that with them. So we do that all the time. And I tell people, hey man, unless you're going to be here for, your break even's 18 months. So unless you plan to be here at least 2 or 3 years, we don't even need to do this. There's no real savings to you. And Vicki's, she's being very modest and saying, I just love people. And I've just built this little business, but just by loving people, she's going to do $18 million and probably 20 based on what she's got going on. $20 million that's not a small business. That's a great business. And she built it not because she has great systems and all that. And she probably does have great systems, but she hasn't built it on that. She built it on loving people. Wow. So I think we can all take a lesson out of that, whether we have, the Quicken Loans system. If you love people, you can build a great business and have that awesome business. So Emily, what's the best advice you've received in your 2-year career in real estate?
Yeah, I think mine is very similar to both what Tiffany and Vicki have said. And it's actually the one thing that quotes about the glass ball and the rubber ball. But yeah, I think I've learned the lesson the hard way of just going and going and going and not taking time to slow down and spend time with my husband, and who is uber supportive of everything that I do. But my coach told me the other day, just like you said, he's going to be okay with it until he's not. So I think just slowing down and really figuring out like what is important to me. If I say that I want to sell X amount of houses, why? What does that really mean? What is my big why? And if you do not have a big why, then you're going to burn out eventually. So I think just really getting crystal clear on what is important to me and making sure that I'm doing a better job of setting expectations and setting boundaries for success, because selling a bunch of houses is great. but at the end of the day, what do you have to show for it? So that's what I've learned.
Awesome.
Yes, I've been given.
Yeah. I love that. All you guys are living that balanced life and are getting more balance. I think, Emily, it sounded like you were kind of going a little crazy there for a minute with
Yeah.
80 closings and
Yeah,
no help. So, but yeah, so then that's a process that we all get to. And that kind of brings me to my next question. I'm going to skip a few and probably go back to some more. But so, Tiffany, you have the biggest team. How have you utilized team members in your business?
I mean, we specialize. So on our team, everybody gets to focus on one thing. And so people who just love to be with people and don't want to stay up at night worried about the negotiations and are we going to lose the house, like they get to do that all day. They just get to show houses and be excited when they find them and help them, help them with their offer. And then somebody else has to worry about actually, are we going to negotiate? Are we actually going to get this house? And so I think that's how I've utilized team members is let's find people who are better at X than I am, better at this other thing than I am, to take those things off my plate that I am not as good at as somebody else, because I'm good at some things and not good at other things. And so let's focus on our strengths, like I talked about earlier, and let other people do the other things. When I was starting, I mean, I utilized like partners as team members. So lenders were helping me pre-qual my buyers, and the title company was doing a lot of the legwork with the contract to close pieces with our clients. And like, whether you have a big team or a little team, you have partners to help take pieces of the process away from you, because it's just too much for someone to do more than one or two at a time by themselves and stay sane.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And then Emily, you just got your first team member. So is that right?
Yes. Well, I guess technically, yes. I had a phenomenal TC who has gone above and beyond for me, and done things that were not expected of her. So she was really like, I guess, the first hire, even though she worked for other real estate agents as well. And I think I'm still really trying to figure that out. But like Tiffany was saying, I've got partners with amazing lenders. I've got a home inspector who, like, if that's what it takes to win the deal, they can get out there the next day instead of getting out there 7 days from now or whatever that looks like. I've got a girl that I met on Facebook that goes and picks up all my signs and lock boxes for me. I have
Nice.
a high school student who sends out monthly newsletters for me. So just trying to find things that I can leverage out to free up, like Tiffany was speaking to, what I'm best at, which is lead generating and going on listing appointments. And I also have someone that I partnered with from my office who she's basically my showing assistant. She doesn't actually work for me, but we've just partnered together. And so she works with all of my buyers and actually is the one that's taking buyers out to look at houses. So I'm finding little ways as I'm growing to leverage until I can get a little bit more intentional about what my role is within the team. And I do eventually want to have a bigger team than just me and my admin.
Awesome. Very good. And Vicki, I know you have a contract to close. It's awesome. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Keely Warren is who does my contract to close now, and she's amazing. She's a licensed agent. She has 2 assistants that work with her, actually. So she's just sharp, and to be able to pass that file over once the negotiations are done and say, here you go, just crossing the T's and dotting the I's, I can do, but I don't like to. So if I can pass that off, then, I have the peace of mind of knowing it's handled, and I'm not trying to carry all those deadlines and all that in my head, knowing that she has it. So that makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
So my hubby is my biggest assistant.
What's that?
I said my hubby, is my biggest assistant.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I kind of see him walking around in the background. You got him working for you, doing stuff.
God love his heart. He drives around in, while I work in the passenger seat a lot. So that helps me maximize my time.
Yes, a lot of times when I'm talking to Vicki, we'll be talking for 2 or 3 minutes, and then Rich, her husband, will pop in, and cause they're buddies of mine as well, personal friends, and so we end up talking about Louisville basketball or whatever's going on. So,
So he calls it dropping this crazy. Oh.
Driving Miss Crazy, love it. So, let me ask you this, Vicki: when should a new agent go ahead and make that leap? Because I talk to a lot of agents who don't want to hire a contract to close. They feel like they're going to lose control. The contract to close is not going to take good care of my clients. I think it's more of a fear thing.
Mm-hmm.
Should they hire sooner or later? Like, when should an agent hire a contract to close person?
I think it's important when you're first starting out to learn all of that. I think it's a disadvantage for somebody to be like maybe on a team where they pass all that off initially, because there's a lot of things that you don't understand and fully grasp until you walk through it. So, I think that puts them at a disadvantage sometimes when they pass it off too soon. And then maybe if you want to go on your own or whatever, then you're clueless on really what the process is. So I think it's good for everybody to know how to do all of those things. But I agree with both of y'all on those aren't our strengths. And I know, and I say all the time, oh, that's not my strength. I mean, and Chris, directions are not my strength, right? That's massive. I'm lost most of the time. And I just
Thank goodness for Google Maps and Waze.
I'm like, look, I don't know where I am, but as long as the little girl on my phone knows where we are, we're good. I'm really going to take care of you. I'm lost most of the time. But anyway, I would say for a new agent, it's important for them to, I don't know, it depends on your capacity. If you're up to consistently, maybe 3 or 4 closings a month, then you could drop some stuff, hand it off. And then as you keep moving beyond that, don't, like a lot of people I've seen, I'm like, well, I passed that off and then I'm taking it back because, I want to save that money or handle it. But the reality is you're just not giving the full service that you could give if you're focused on things that you don't need to be spending your time on. Let somebody that's their strength stay involved. Like, I don't ever want to be out of the pocket. I want to know what's happening. A little of a control freak when it comes to that. But at the same time, when you've got somebody that you trust that they're handling it and let them stay in your lane when you see them. So, because ultimately it's going to make you have an opportunity to be more productive and more focused on who you're taking care of, your client.
Awesome. So, and what I'm hearing, and I love that, is once you learn it, because you do need to learn it, right? If you're a new agent and you don't know how to do any of it, you need to learn it so that you know what you're doing later. But once you learn what you're doing, maybe that's 3 closings or 10 closings or whatever, and once you're doing a couple closings a month, that's when you need to, in my opinion, and Tiffany, I'll let you and Emily both weigh in, but it's usually what, 350, 300, 350 per file if it's a contract to close third party. On the average commission in Nashville now, it's $300,000, $400,000 purchase prices. I think 350 to save, and they've done a study on this, and I'm not sure what the exact is, but I think it's 19 hours of paperwork that it saves you as the agent. Because as the agent, now that contract to close person is probably not spending 19 hours on it because they're good at it, right? They're boom, 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 knock it out, move it over, done, done, done. But for the agent who's not organized and who's trying to figure it out and trying to go back, it saves about 19 hours of paperwork per file to hire that agent. So if I can save 19 hours, I'll pay $350. That's 3 days of work almost, right? Or 2.5 days of work if you're working 8-hour days, at least 2 days of work that you're saving for $350. Who can go get another deal if they're not working 2 days? They have 2 days to go prospect.
Let me
so
just
Tiffany,
too about young agents right now that don't have a lot of experience. Like, they need to be like, that are on teams. I think a lot of times where they just pass that off, they don't even understand like what the title company, like I've talked to several, I'm thinking, you don't even know what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they've passed things off so much that they don't even fully understand the process. And that's what I'm saying. New agents, even if you're on a team and that's a benefit, then maybe at the very least say, hey, copy me on all that. Like, at least read it and see what's happening and walk through the process of what's going on so that you have some intelligible input to the other, because y'all know when you talk to somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, as soon as they call me, I'm like, they don't have a clue what they're doing,
Yeah, you can tell pretty quick.
Or they don't, or like Tiffany said, they don't call you. You got a listing. I had 6 offers on one on Saturday, and only one of them called me. I call every time. every time. And I just say, hey, here's where we are. When do they want to close? I just gather information because I know how to write my offer based on what I've gathered, But anyway, that's off
Awesome.
topic. But my point is the younger, newer, less experienced, not young necessarily, but less experienced agents need desperately to have the knowledge of what all that is. It's not,
I love it.
it's more. Yeah.
I love it. So Tiffany, contract to close, a third party contract to close, it's per file. We think once you know what you're doing, probably let's go ahead and hire that as soon as possible. When would you say an agent needs to hire a full-time admin and even a buyer's agent? So that agent that's like, hey, I want to grow a team. So Emily's in the process of doing this. I'm going to hire a full-time admin, buyer's agent. At what points in their career do they hit those milestones?
I think everybody's different because of their goals. So like I hired a little early, like by the book, because I wanted my time back because I was pregnant and I literally negotiated 2 deals in the hospital when I was giving birth to my son, which is the best way to win a negotiation. I got both of those deals. My people needed it, but not how I recommend having a baby. So I think it depends on your goals, but the reality is, okay, that contract to close is $350 a month or $350 a file. If you've got 3 of those closing every month, you've got how much money going out? Like how many could you hire somebody even part-time or almost full-time for the money that you're spending in that transaction coordination, that then they're doing the other stuff in your business too.
Yeah.
Because while transaction coordination is awesome, and that's like such a huge headache, but there's all this other stuff too. Like how much time are you spending figuring out who you're calling? How much time are you spending inputting the notes? How much time are you spending writing your thank you notes and mailing things and going to the post office and delivering signs like Emily was talking about? Like there's all this other stuff in the business too. And so as soon as you can hire somebody, you should. I think I usually tell people, if you have got 3 months of their salary saved up, or you'll save it from transaction coordination, hire somebody. Because if you hire the right person, they will make you their money from then on out. You only should have, it's only an expense for 3 months max. And if it's an expense on the 3rd month, you probably need to hire somebody else and find somebody else who will then generate. Because are they going to generate a buyer for you? Maybe not. But the time that you get back, if Emily got 2 days, she would be listing 3 houses in 2 more days back from that 19 hours. And so she's so much better off hiring somebody that does all that other stuff. So all she is on the phone and on Zoom now.
Yeah. And a great point Tiffany just said, when I've talked to agents like, hey, I want to build a team or I want to hire a full-time admin. They're like, man, I made XYZ last year. I just can't afford to pay $40,000 to this person. And it's not $40,000. It's, let's say $40,000 is their yearly salary. It's $3,500, let's say roughly, a month. So the first month, it's an investment, right? They're not going to produce you tons of results back the first month because you got to train them. You got to make sure it's going to work. But by the 2nd month or 3rd month, all you're investing is $7,000, maybe $10,000 max. If it's not working, you've invested $7,000 that doesn't work. But I don't know anybody. And I'll tell you, our first hire back in 2000, I can't remember what it was, 10 or 11. We had a processor. We were a small team. Our first hire was terrible. Like, it's just not a good hire. It wasn't a good fit. It just wasn't a good hire. We did more business because we had her. She could answer the phone. She could do some admin time off my plate, and I did more business. And, my coach was right. He's like, man, you got to hire. In order to grow, you have to hire. And I remember my coach told me that, and I was like, no, man, you don't understand. I got into coaching to grow my business, not to hire people. He said, you don't understand. In order to grow your business, you have to have people to help you because you just run out of time. And, back then he told me the stat was, a loan officer who works a lot, 50 hours a week, 55 hours a week, they could close about 6 deals a month on average. I was like, no way, man. I closed more than that. I know I closed more than that because there were months I would close 10 or 12, right? And then I looked back over the course of a year and it was 71. So 6 on average because I had no help and it was 10 years ago. So it's amazing that stuff does work. So Tiffany, thank you very much for sharing that. A question that's been brought up to me on my little chat over here privately, I think is a great question. When is it better for an agent to be on a team versus being solo. And I believe that some agents are a better fit to be on a team, and not just to start out. I think some agents are going to be better to be on a team long term. Um, there's a lot of benefit that you can have from being on a team. And so can you guys address that? And again, I'm going back to Tiffany because she has the bigger team, but I'll ask Emily and Vicki too. What are the pros and cons of being on a team versus a solo agent? And I'll
I mean,
ask
I think
Tiffany first.
the biggest difference is if when you join a team, you don't get to do it all your way. That's the pro and the con. Like you walk into a business that's already functioning. You don't have to come up with the logo. You don't have to come up with the marketing. You don't have to do all that stuff. But on the flip side, you also don't get to do that stuff. And so if that's what motivates you and that's what excites you, and you want it to be your way and your process, then that would be a con of being on a team. But if you say, hey, I don't have to figure it all out. I'd love to just jump onto a treadmill that's already running, and I'll follow your systems and processes, and my goals align with your goals, then that would be a pro of joining a team for somebody. And so again, I just think it comes down to what are your strengths, what are your goals, and be really honest with yourself about what do you want your business to look like? Because what is a con to someone of being on a team is a pro to someone else.
Yeah. So jumping into, like you said, a treadmill that's already running, because going from zero is not easy. And I think a lot of people have that misconception of, I see so-and-so, they sold so many houses, it must be easy. And I've had many conversations with new agents, and they get in the business, and it's not easy. So this question was from a newer agent, and to the second part of her question, could it be overwhelming to be a new agent and jump into a running team? As a new agent, I'm not sure if I'm enough of an asset to be on a team yet.
So I think that goes to real estate is overwhelming no matter how you do it, period. Wouldn't y'all agree? Like, it's just insanity. And so you just got to choose your form of insanity. And do you want the accountability? Like, do you want people doing it with you? The hard work, the 10,000-pound phone that you have to pick up and lead generate. Are you better doing that by yourself? Can you make yourself do it? Can you get up when your alarm goes off and do it by yourself? Or is it better and more fun for you to do it with other people? Or like on our team, we have this lion we throw around if you're not being fiercely loyal to lead gen. And so, like, do you need that sort of environment where someone's going to throw a lion at you when you're talking to a client during your lead gen time? Just be okay being overwhelmed, because it's going to be overwhelming no matter how you do it.
Cool.
And I knew it's really important to have the team environment. It's kind of like a pep rally. And in like you said, certain personality types are different. I don't need a pep rally. Like, I'm self-motivated and I'm driven and I'm going to make it happen on my own. Prefer to make it happen on my own. But when anybody starts in something new, I just think it's really valuable. And so for the question where she said, or whomever it was, I don't feel like I'd be enough of an asset. I thought that was kind of precious. But at the same time, just then make sure you're seeking out people that genuinely care, that are going to take you under their wing and say, you know what, honey, let's walk through this together, and be honest with you, and kind of help you get through it for a little bit, because it's hard. There's a lot of hard. And when you're out on your own and just starting out, it could be something I would think somebody could give up on quickly.
Yeah. And just to touch on that real quick, I've talked to many different people. You got to be careful of the negative bus, or the, usually teams aren't that way, right? The reason that people have built a team is because they've overcome and they've built a big enough business to support a team, and they can't get in. Not that we don't all get into some negativity sometimes, but they generally aren't negative people. But be careful of the office that you go into, and so-and-so over there, he's always, man, I can't sell anything. And, the market's terrible. And if Biden doesn't win, or if Trump doesn't win, and everything, there's always something, right? So be very careful of that. in any office, and make sure you're surrounding yourself with either a positive team, and it's not always the rah-rah, but it's the positivity of like, hey, we just sold 5 houses last week, or hey, we've got 3 contracts coming in. Things are going well. If you lead generate, you see the results. But be very careful of the agents that are just, what do we call them, Igors, I guess, that they come in and they're just like, oh, the sky's falling, Chicken Little or whatever. Just stay away from that. If you know somebody's negative, there's a negative influence. If your office is negative, if you work in a small real estate office it's always negative, just get a new office. Get around people who are doing business, who are staying positive, because I think that's a huge thing. Emily, I want to ask you the next question first. Do you have a daily or morning routine, like a miracle morning type? There's a book that I've read that is really good. But do you have something that you do daily that's a routine that you live by that really helps you start your day off right, or what's your routine?
Yes. So it starts the night before. I make sure that I go to bed on time so that I can wake up on time. So I usually go to bed at like 9:30. I'm a total grandma.
That's awesome.
And I wake up, I have my phone in a different room, so I have to physically get out of bed to shut it off, because otherwise I would just hit the snooze button. So I wake up at 5, and the first thing that I do is I have a notebook by my phone, and I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for, and then I write down an affirmation. And I can barely, just at that point, I'm like not even really alive. Go turn on, get a cup of coffee, and I just try and sit in silence, because the hours of between like 5 and 7:30, that's the only time during the day where I'm not bombarded by a gazillion different things. So I spend the first 15 minutes of my day just sitting, listening to worship music, spending time in prayer and journaling. And then I go to the gym or go on a walk or something between 6 and 7. And then I pretty much come home and get ready.
And then you're ready to go hit the phones for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love it. It's awesome. Has a very, very dialed in morning routine. Vicki, what is your daily or morning routine that you live by?
Quite as regimented as you are.
Can you say it again? It kind of cut out.
Quite as regimented as you are. But I have a pattern. It's not a documented one, right? So I typically wake up 4:30 or 5. And I'm up, and I like to sit and read and pray and have some time alone with the Lord. I like to go outside if I can and have my coffee. And then I try really hard to not think about my list of things until I can kind of decompress and process. And if the Lord's laid somebody on my heart, I shoot them some text messages I'm praying for, or whatever's happening right then, right? And then by about 6:30, I typically go, okay, it's time to dive in. And I have a legal pad and my list, and I start going down and, just making the list of everything I need to do what are the things that are burning the hottest, what needs to be first, and, kind of work my way through that.
Okay. It's awesome. You get up early, have that quiet time too. Tiffany, what is your daily or morning routine?
I'm with Emily. My morning routine starts at night, not necessarily with bedtime, but I make all my decisions for the morning the night before. So like, what am I going to wear is decided, and what am I going to eat? All of that stuff is decided the night before, because the less decisions I can make in the morning, the more energy I have. So I also have my phone in another room. I get up, and the very first thing that I do is I use the Calm app and do a 10-minute meditation, because that's like the self-discipline that I need to get to face the day, which is, can I make myself think about what I need to think about and not all the other things in my world? Because I'm kind of like Vicki, like I stay up at night worried about things and like all that stuff. And my ability to like notice that and just put that to the side and then keep going is really, really important. And meditation has really helped me with that. So the Calm app is that's $60 I spend a year.
Nice. So anybody that wants that morning routine, get the Calm app. I like it.
It's great. So start with that. And then before I look at my phone or email or any of that stuff, I read, pray, hang out with my kids in the morning, get them off to school. when there was school, get them started with school now that it's this world, and then exercise and go for the day.
Nice. So real quick, I think all y'all said that you don't get up and just turn on your email, because what happens between 9 o'clock at night and 6 or 7 in the morning, the emails that come through are going to be negative. It's going to be generally, I mean, there's going to be some spam emails and all that crap, but if there's an email you need attention, it's probably going to be something that like, and you can't call them at 6:30 anyway. So it's a really good idea to not even turn your email on until you get in the office after you've worked out, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever time that you start is at start time. Very, very good point, guys.
I was going to say something about that. I had a mentor of mine that told me very early on in my career, there's never going to be a deal that falls apart because you didn't respond to an email or a phone call or whatever that may be. And I've had to get really, really good at setting expectations with my clients. Hey, I don't answer the phone after 6 o'clock. It can wait until tomorrow. Now there are exceptions to that. Let's say my client doesn't get off until 6 o'clock and from work, and we have to respond to an offer or something like that. But we've scheduled that time in advance. And in the past, I had done a really poor job of, I'd said that was my expectation, but when they called me after 6, I would pick up the phone. And you cannot change someone else's behavior. You can only change yourself. And so I've had to get really, really good at sticking to the expectations that I set, meaning if someone calls me when I'm lead generating between 8 and 11, I do not answer, and then I remind them afterwards, hey, like I said, during 8 and 11, I'm lead generating, or after 6 o'clock. If you want me to be a sane person tomorrow when we have this conversation, then I need to be resting and rejuvenating and spending time with the people that are important in my life. And so I think that if you can, whatever that looks like for you, if you can get really clear on that very early on in your career and have someone in your life that's also checking in and holding you accountable to that, you will burn out in this business. And because I've been there before, if you do not set expectations and set boundaries for your business and for your life.
Yeah. And one quick thing, I learned this a long time ago too, is change your voicemail. If this is between the hours of 9 and 5 or 8 and 5, I will call you back between these times, or I'll call you back by the end of the business day. If this is after, if you want it to be 6 p.m., you can plug in the time, right? If it's after 6 p.m., your call will be returned the next business day. And now, can you still check the voicemail and there's some, something that you want to take care of, and you can still do it if you want to, right? And I love to read. You can read the voicemail, so you don't have to, if I listen to it, then it goes away as a new one, then I forget about it. So you don't have to, you can pause it so it stays as a new one and kind of read if it's an emergency or not, and just move on. 80, 90% of them can be taken care of. If not 95% of them can be taken care of the next day. And if you change it on your voicemail, they heard, hey, she's not going to call me back until the next business day. You set the expectation every time they call at 7 o'clock, they get the voicemail that says she's not going to call me back until the next business day. And then, of course, if it's, go ahead.
I struggled with the self-control of, again, like I said, I'm a worrier. And so if I've seen clients call my phone multiple times at night, I have to check the voicemail, and then I know the problem. And then I'm planning the problem in my head. And so what I did was I actually put my phone in a drawer away from me after a certain time. And it got to be such a joke. My family would laugh and they're like, I cannot get a hold of you. So I got a home phone so that my family has a phone number they can reach me on, because I cannot be trusted to calmly ignore things after periods of time. And so whatever it takes for you to be able to do that is what you need to do. Like in 2012, I got a home phone. Like the company was like, what? People are starting new service.
That's like you're the last one with the phone hanging on the wall.
Sign up for a home phone ever.
Yes, love it. That's awesome. All right, guys. So how important is it to have referral partners that you can trust, be it lenders, title, home inspectors? Vicki, how important has it been in your career to have people that you can trust and not just let your client wander off to the big banks in the world, which is, kind of a little plug for us. Title company that you don't know, or a home inspector. If they go to Google and try to find home inspector, who's had that happen? I've had it happen with clients, and the home inspector just butchers a house that's a nice house. Not that, whatever, I don't want to cut on that home inspector, but how important is it to have those people?
Massively important. And in my specific business model, I guess, that I try to do is, it's really important to me to have people that I can say, hey, look, Chris is a great guy. I know him really well. They'll take great care of you. They care about you as a person. Like when I pass somebody off to whomever that is, I'm able to say with very deep confidence that they're going to be cared for the same way that I'm going to care for them. And, inspectors, like I think it was Emily, you mentioned having the strength of being able to do that. I do the same thing. If I'm in a multiple offer, I'm sending quickly a text, hey, I'm in a multiple offer, when's your appointment? What do you have? So if I can write it for a 3-day inspection period, I'm writing it for a 3-day because I want to lock it down and say, oh, I've already got that reserved. That's huge. You have that relationship where I know I can go to them, and if they need to rearrange, then they will for me. So, and then the title company, again, the same thing. I've just got that comfort level. It's just huge for us. I've had clients before say, why are you referring me to that lender? They're a little cynical about it, like they think I'm getting a kickback, and I'm always like, no, not at all. I mean, this is just somebody I have experience with, I trust. And when they say for me to go, I can with great confidence, negotiate on your behalf because I trust what they know what they're doing. I know what I'm doing, and we're going to partner together to make this a great thing.
Right. And I think a lot of times too, clients at the beginning, they don't see all the pitfalls that we know can happen. Right. And if they're using their own title company or their lender from out of state, and there's a problem, who as the realtor, who can I call at your lender? They're not even going to talk to me. Right. Or, even ask them, like, who's your guy at, my joke is, who's your guy at Quicken Loans, people who are shopping with Quicken Loans or whatever, like, who's your guy there? Like, well, I don't have a guy. You have an 800 number, and that's a problem, right? If there's a problem, it's a big problem. So, Emily, what about in your business? How important are those people to how you've grown your business?
Yeah, I mean, very similar to what Vicki said, just having a lender who you can put your shoulders back and say, if my guy said you're good to go, they're good to go. Being able to close loans, like I was actually in a situation with a client who needed to close the loan super, super quickly to be able to win the bid versus the average was, 30 to 40 days on the other contracts that were written. So being able to, in certain situations, move really fast. Like I said, with the home inspector, being able to get them out there the next day. Having contractors who that they will actually pick up the phone when you call them and show up when they say they're going to, and like trust them to be in your own home without you even being present. Like if I can trust someone like that to be in my own home, to be able to refer them to my client is huge. It's definitely something that I had neglected in the past, more when it came to contractors, electricians, handyman, plumbers. And it's something that now I've been really, really intentional about. And also telling them like, hey, I've sent 3 people this week to you. Who do you know that's looking to buy or sell that you can refer to me? So it goes both ways. And having those people that you know and trust, it's one big, again, if you're a solo agent, that is your team. Your lender is your team. Your title company is your team. Your electrician is your team.
Yeah. So I'm going to share real quick. Vicki and myself, we're friends with a local home inspector. And I know we've done loans for him. She sold him homes. And now he works with how many agents? 20, 30, 40, 50. I have no idea how many people send him business, but he chose Vicki. And then also Vicki has sold his team members because he's got a team houses, and we've helped them all. So absolutely, that's a big deal, and something that can be part of your sphere of influence for your own business too. Tiffany, how important for your business has it been?
Oh, I mean, just like they've said, it's crucial because it's an extension of your business. Like when your lender or the lender screws up, it's your fault. Whether they picked it or not, like it's their lender they brought to the table, but you're the one who has to shoulder the burden and figure out a way to solve it. And so your ability to have good team members, whether it's on your team or your referral partners, is just crucial to the whole experience, because at the end of the day, your name is attached to this entire experience for them. It's very rare that somebody would have a bad lender experience and be happy with their realtor at the end.
Right.
You know, we're all.
They don't separate it. Even if they, like you said, if they chose Quicken Loans and something happened, it's just a bad taste in their mouth at the end, and it's going to be really hard for them to want to refer just because it was just a bad experience.
Mhm.
So, very good. I'm going to go to a couple of questions over here. Guys, realtors that are on the call, if you have questions and you want to pop them into the chat, or even if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question here in just a minute, I'll give you that opportunity. One of the questions here is, do you guys have any mentors or accountability partners that have helped you get where you are now and helped you continue growing? And any one of you guys that want to answer that can jump in.
Yeah, I have someone in my office that he was teaching a class when I first got my real estate license. His name's Joe Sheeran. He's with Keller Williams. And he basically invited me to come and sit in his office every single morning and lead generate with him. And he would stop me and be like, why'd you say that? Or I would listen and reflect on how he was talking to people and the conversations that he was having. So he was and still is an incredible mentor to me. And then I also have, I've always been in coaching since very early on in my career. So I think probably about 3 or 4 months in after I got my real estate license, I hired a full-time coach. And so I meet with them weekly just to hold me accountable. And then also have just like a mentor more in my personal life and my relationship with Christ, a godly woman that's in my life that I meet with pretty often as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Vicki and Tiffany?
Real estate wise, mentor, really, when I first started, I would call the lady that helped me when I lived in Louisville that sold our houses. You know, she was my realtor there. She was actually my best friend's mom years ago. And so she's kind of the one that, like I said, my original goal was when I got to this season of life was to be in real estate, whether I'd stayed there or moved here. So she was really kind of my motivation for that. And she's who I've patterned after as far as the way she loves the Lord and loves people and takes care of them. And she's always been very successful, but not in a typical business model kind of way, you know? So for me, I guess that's it. And then I've got lots of agents call me a lot with questions. I feel like I do the mentoring. I'm older than y'all. I'm on the other end.
Awesome. Very good. And Tiffany, what about you?
So when I was brand new, I met with somebody. It wasn't our broker, but it was somebody in the office every week. Basically coaching. It wasn't called that, but it was coaching. It was, you know, here's what you should have done. Did you do that? And then me saying, hey, this is an idea I have. Is that a good idea or a bad idea? And then they'd say, don't do that, or sure, do that one. So from the very beginning, I had a sounding board and coach and grew to a business coach. And now I actually have 2 groups of people that I meet with consistently. One focused on our calling, the calling of business, and how God created work prior to the fall, and that work is for the good of the world and you and all of those things. So I have a group of CEOs that we meet and talk about that. And then I have a group of moms as well that run businesses at a really high level. And we mentor and help each other from all different stages of the same thing. Like, is this a good idea or a bad idea? And just, that's how we do it.
Iron sharpens iron, right?
That's right.
Awesome, guys. Thank y'all so much for sharing. That kind of winds up my questions. I am going to open it up to the realtors here, and I do want to be out of here in the next 5 or 10 minutes. I want to respect everybody's time and make sure we keep it around 11:30 when this is over. So anybody here, if you want to type it in chat, I'll be glad to read it. Or if you would, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask these guys questions, we'll open it up for a couple.
Hey, Chris, this is Sean Tate.
Yes, sir. Sean, how are you, man?
I'm well, man. Thanks so much for this panel. It was fantastic. It's good to hear from all of my colleagues. And I'm really happy to see Tiffany. When I first came into the business, she and I worked on a transaction together, and I'm happy to hear of all your successes. My one question is, short of your forward calls, just how aggressive is your general marketing in terms of expanding your brand?
That's a great question. So we do a couple of different things depending on who you are. So like we market to a neighborhood in particular. And so that neighborhood gets one postcard a month from us. They get at least 1 to 2 calls about events that we put on in the neighborhood from us. And then pre-COVID, they got 2 door knocks from us a year. We do something called the tool shed in the neighborhood. So we would go and offer that through the neighborhood of things that you just don't need to own yourself, that we could all just share, like pressure washer, extension ladder, pickup truck, things like that. So that's like that neighborhood, that's what they get from us. Our database, the people who already know, like, and trust us, they get emails twice a month. We do 3 to 4 events. Usually we're doing 2 events this year, kind of virtual events. So they get invites to those. Then we've got the event. Then we call them afterwards, either good to see you or sad we missed you calls. And then they also get 1 piece of mail from us a month if they're in our, what we call the VIPs, the people who send us business, have done business with us, the more likely to refer group. So they'll hear from us over 30 times a year in our database for sure.
Wow, that's awesome. Anybody else want to weigh in on how they market? That and you know, Emily, you've been doing it 2 years. I'm doubting your systems are quite as dialed in as Tiffany, who you know, has been doing it a little bit longer. And Vicki, I think your main marketing is hugs, right? And there's nothing wrong with that too. So very good insights, Tiffany. Any other questions? I don't see any typed in. Did anybody else have any other questions for the panel?
If nobody else has one of my favorite questions is like, what's your best hack for either time or business or like life hack? I'd love to hear what Emily and Vicki's are. One of the things that came to mind that never came up was I have our babysitters write cards. Again, babysitters aren't really necessarily a thing right now, but when we have babysitters that watch our kids and they go to sleep and we're still not home, they address envelopes for us because they're sitting there at your house. Like,
nice.
why not use the rest of that time and the business expense if they're doing business work for you. So that is one of my favorite real estate life hacks, is use your babysitters to address cards for you when your kids are asleep.
Nice. That's a cool hack. I like that.
That's awesome.
When we're not living.
Think of one. Vicki, do you have one?
Oh, I already said mine. It's my husband driving me around. I mean, seriously, it doubles my productivity time because I'm not stuck behind the wheel of a car where I can't return phone calls and I can't look at emails and I can't, like, I'm typically sending, you know, I do everything, you know, while we're in the car. So
I think that's great. I think solo agents should Uber to their appointments.
I agree. Yeah.
They can do so much more.
His work schedule is very flexible, so he's able to do what he does and still, you know, so he's a massive support to me. But and I've had my daughter do that before too. But I agree. I think that's huge. We shouldn't be trying to drive. We're too distracted. It's dangerous for us and everybody else on the road.
Awesome.
I don't do it anymore, but I used to, like, when I was at the gym, if I would walk on the treadmill, like, I would also use that time to, like, practice scripts. So I would, like, get on the treadmill and, like, practice, like, objection handlers for, like, if a seller was asking me to reduce my commission, or if they were deciding between multiple agents or whatever. So I used to walk on the treadmill and memorize scripts. But now I'm just like, that's my time for me to walk on the treadmill, not to be thinking about real estate. I don't think I can right now.
I love it. I love it. All right. So Tiffany, do you find print mail effective, and do you know its effective? Let me see. Do you know its effective rate?
I know it's effective, especially pre-COVID. Hardly anybody mailed, and so like you've got it works. Mailing works because now you've got to do it right. You've got to make sure that it's either got to be real sticky or it's got to be compelling enough that here, where's a piece of paper? Like they go through the mail, they see it, the time it takes them to go from their hand to the trash can. They just it needs to look consistent. It needs to be real estate. It needs to have a house on it. And because then eventually, some point, they are going to have just had a conversation with their significant other about selling their house. And then when they see it, they're like, oh yeah, Tiffany, I need to call her about whatever that is. So, I mean, in our farm for a while, all I did was mailed once a month and door knocked. And I started with a very small farm. I now have like 4,000 homes, but my farm started with 8 because I said, how much can I market to, mail in their mailbox for an entire year off of 5% of my commission. So I would take my commission and I would say, how many houses can I mail to for a year with this? And so that was 8 at the beginning. So I could door knock 8 houses, pretty stellar, because it's only 8. They could see me every week if I wanted to. But okay, I would do that. I would door knock. I would maybe talk to them twice once I expanded. All I was doing was mailing. I was spending $2,000 a month. So that's $24,000 a year. And within 18 months, my farm was generating $250,000 of business in GCI. So it works. You got to have a gut of steel though, because you've got to do it for a long time. You're writing checks for a long time, which is why I started so small. Because I've already told you, I don't have a gut of steel. I have a very soft belly. And so you start small and write small checks every month because eventually they will call you. You just have to give it time.
Yeah.
It takes about a year.
That's what I've always heard. If you want to do it for 6 months,
Don't
just
do it.
give me the money.
Yeah.
Because that's what just give it to somebody that you would like to have the money because you're wasting your money. It's a 6 month to 12 months just to get any return. And then 12 months to 24, you start to get a good return. And then if you are like Tiffany and you continue to do it for years and years and years, it's a phenomenal return, but it is a long-term deal. Last question, guys. I think this is actually really pertinent. We have 3 ladies on the panel today. Any tips on practicing safety as a female agent when meeting clients for the first time, either for a listing appointment or showing homes? So Vicki, you take Rich with you, so there you're good.
Thank you.
So what do you guys think? I mean, that's obviously, you know, we've all heard the stories. It's been a while back, but what do you guys do to make sure that you are safe when you're meeting people that you don't know?
I need to do a lot better job of this. I am a very, very trusting person. I met my husband, and the next day he like drove me to St. Louis, and we went to a baseball game together, which was 3 hours away from where I was going to college at the time. So that's the type of level of trust that I have for people, but I've definitely been in a couple situations where I've Googled someone's name right before walking into a listing appointment and found out some not so good things about them. So I do carry pepper spray, but I still don't, I think I need to do a little bit better job of protecting myself than I do currently right now.
Somebody always knows where I am. And if it is an appointment that if it's literally a cold call, like I don't know who this person is. No one knows somebody who knows who this person is. I had a system where I would keep my phone in my hand, and if I got it, like once I got to the appointment, they knew that it was in 5 minutes. I was going to call the office, and just you're just going to hear the meeting, like just know that I was good. And one time it didn't go, like, you know, I don't want to like ding ding, and so I was just holding my hand, and I thought I had called the office, and I didn't call the office. And so they came for me at that house came to find me at the house. So some sort of system like that around somebody knows where you are at all times. And the fact that you even have that system, if you get into a problem, you just tell, like, I would say, look, they're on their way. They already came last week for me on accident and I haven't called them. So like,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of
And
security in that.
if it's a buyer, you can also set up the meeting in a public place like a Starbucks or,
Always
um,
higher.
yeah, with the buyer, because you never know, right? A homeowner is probably a little bit different because they own the house, you know their name. Hopefully, um, it would be a little bit safer going into somebody who owns the house and your team knows you're going to see John Smith's house at this address. That's a little bit more safe because, everybody knows who lives there and who's there. But a buyer you're going to meet in a Starbucks or a public place. You'd have them come to the office. With COVID, it may be a little different, but I would definitely suggest as a female agent meeting them in public because you'll get that vibe if they're, I would think, if they're weird or whatever, if you're meeting them in Starbucks and maybe, hey, I'm not going to actually show you this house because of that. But you guys, is that what y'all do with buyers or how do you address that?
Yeah, we always have a meeting before meeting them at a house.
Mhm.
Okay. Cool. And
Also, never walk down the stairs in front of somebody. Let them go first. That was the most basic self-defense that I learned in showing houses.
oh, wow. Never heard that, but that's a good idea. Awesome. So guys, it's time to go. I think this has been super, super informative, great information. The key with great information is implementation, guys. So I hope you took notes. I hope you wrote things down. I hope that you take this back to your business and say, hey, what am I going to do? I'm going to prospect 3 hours a day. If you're not doing any prospecting, maybe I'm going to prospect 1 hour 3 times a week. That would be a huge increase over, doing zero. But make sure you're taking this information that you got, implement it into your business. And I haven't asked permission from these guys, but I would be willing to bet if you want to give them a call or shoot them an email, Tiffany, Emily, Vicki, any of them, if you have follow-up questions or want to pick their brain, I would imagine that they would be absolutely okay to help you with that in the future. So, guys, I'm going to conclude the call. A big round of applause. I know everybody's on mute, so you probably just hear me applauding. So thank y'all very, very much. I think this was awesome. Guys, I hope y'all had a great experience today. Again, take it, implement it in your business. If you were invited here by a loan officer, it's not just me. We have loan officers in our office that may have invited you as well. Please help us out. We would love to get your folks pre-approved. We don't get paid to do this. We hope to bring you value, but we would love to help you with anybody you got that needs to get pre-approved, ready to go. And of course, refinances are kind of ridiculous right now. So if you haven't refinanced or know people that need to do it, if they're going to be in the house long term, take advantage of these rates in the twos and knock that out. So, all right, guys, thank y'all so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.